right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's great with me. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good. Tell people where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, if you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us at cvadthepodcast at gmail.com.
That's right. Go to our website, www.conversateafterdark.com. You listen to past episodes. All right, Tay, let's do the icebreaker.
All right. What's something you've done sexually that your mom would consider disowning you for?
Lord have mercy. Oh, oh. I've said it both on the show, but probably when I had sex with that girl outside, butt naked in front of that old folks' home. That
Yeah.
that and swingers club. Sex at the swingers club. She definitely would be disappointed about that. She'd be like, "That's not professional." And what if people saw you and all this? So yeah, definitely those two things. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what would she approve of that I've done. Let me stop. The majority of things, I think. But if I get specific, it would definitely be, well, let me first put this out there. My mother wouldn't disown me for anything, I don't think. But what she would be disappointed in me would definitely be uh being with other women
Yeah.
and the swinging stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think she knows?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
All
She
right.
has no
No idea.
she has no idea.
She think you a good girl, or does she kind of like, or is she
No, she knows.
like, I just don't want to know.
She doesn't want to know. Yeah. She knows I'm not a good girl, but or I hate that phrase because I still consider me
You're
a
not
good
goody
girl
two
because
shoes.
outside of sex,
You're not goody two shoes.
say that again.
You're not goody two shoes.
Well, that's what I was saying. Outside of sex, I kind of am a goody two shoes. That's why I was saying I don't know if I necessarily like saying I'm not a good girl
Okay.
because I don't think sex is the only thing that makes you not a good girl. I mean, although I do know the stereotype of it. I do know that. But she knows that I'm not innocent. I should say that. Put it that way. She knows I'm not innocent.
I don't think that I really want to know what my kids do. Now, there's some parents that just have that open relationship with their children where they talk about anything and
Hmm.
set the set the table to where my kids know they can talk to me about anything, right? There's nothing that's off the table. But I'm kind of old school. We're not friends.
Is it because you have mostly daughters or
No,
just that's across the board?
no, because I keep the same. There's a standard that I have for my son that I have for my daughters as well. Now they are different, and the one thing that you learn as a parent is that you may have four kids, they may have been raised in the same house, but you can't parent them all the same because they're all four individual people. But the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I, you know, kept consistent was like the minimum standard for our family. So like whenever
Hmm.
daughters would bring a young man home, I made sure to treat those young men like I would want somebody to treat my son, right? I told my son,
Hmm.
like you saw some of those pictures online when like the young man was coming to take the young lady to prom and the dad had a gun or something like that. I told my son, hey man, listen, if anybody ever tries to intimidate you or bully you or do anything, threaten you because you were trying to, take their daughter out, you tell them, hey man, fuck you and your daughter, and then you come get me and then we have a discussion with them. And I truly
Yeah.
um I've never had a situation where a father was like mean to me or whatever. Most of the time, it was the mamas that didn't really didn't really like me. 'Cause I think dads kind of knew what the deal was. But yeah, we've talked about it in the past in terms of sex education, keeping it clinical. I don't need to hear the ins and outs of what my daughters do in the bedroom. There's no reason for me to know that. There's really no reason.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies to my son. I don't really need to know what he does all the time and when he's with, young women. I don't need to know that. We're not that cool, right? But if it's something that's going to impact your life, like a kid, STI, or maybe you go through a bad breakup and you want to tell me the nitty-gritty about that, then yeah, but we ain't friends. No. And I don't know if I could ever get to the point, maybe when they get to the point where like they don't need my help at all, then we can have a more like friendly dynamic. But I just don't see it. Like I got people they drink with their kids, they smoke weed with their kids, they do all that type of shit, and I just wasn't raised that way.
Yeah, yeah, neither was I. Matter of fact, the only time I've ever had a drink with my mother, we were on a cruise, so it was a vacation. And my mother still is not the type to be throwing them back. It's like she had one drink, I think, through the whole time we went on vacation. So,
Like I would drink with my when my dad was alive, he would bring beers to the house, right?
hmm
And I could tell though he was trying to test me though. He was trying to test me to see if I knew my limits
hmm
and to see if I was just like, okay, is he going to be a drunk? If he's going to be, acting an ass when he's drinking or whatever. But me drinking around my parents, that just wasn't the thing to do. Yeah, we'll see how.
Yeah, yeah.
And no shade to the people that do it. Just my personal opinion, I kind of feel like it's project shit. But it's just not something I want to do. You know.
Yeah, now I do have an aunt on during the holidays she'll break out a bottle of wine, but I'm talking like maybe half a glass or something like yeah, I don't really drink like that in front of, like hard liquor in front of my parents.
Right. Yeah. Nah, because
Yeah.
it just has to be that there's levels to it. And there may be like the cool auntie or uncle. I don't have no aunts or uncles that were cool like that I can drink and do those things with, but I know other people that do. They have like a younger aunt or uncle that, kind of is not old enough to be like, I gotta respect you like a elder, but we more like sisters, brother and sisters or something like that. Those people that's kind of like that. Where
hmm
they only like
hmm
8 or 9, 10 years older than me. Yeah, I'm not gonna disrespect you. You still auntie or uncle, but come on, dog. Like you going through the same stuff I'm going through.
Actually, I do have an aunt who's the fun aunt who if I wanted to drink in front of, I could and I wouldn't feel weird about it, but even with her, there's still a level of respect where I personally wouldn't feel right like getting like drunk. I don't get drunk that much anyway, but I just have that respect where I wouldn't push that boundary. But I do know that she would be one if any of my aunts and uncles I would, were to drink in front of, she would be one.
Yeah, yeah.
But not saying she's a lush, she's not. But she's the fun aunt. She's even as little kids, like she was the one who was always taking us to the amusement parks, to fun play dates or whatever. So she's always been the fun aunt. So, it's still that way as adults.
And it's just certain things that are passed down in families, like in terms of like the dynamics between like husband and wife, uh, mother and father and children, aunts, nieces and nephews. Like every family has a different dynamic in how they get down. Because I know there's certain families where they call their aunts and uncles by their first name. I couldn't imagine calling one of my aunts and uncles by their first name without aunt or auntie or uncle in front of it. Like they ain't one of your damn friends. You know what I'm saying? You put some respect. You put the only aunt that I call by their first name. It just so happens that she's white, right?
Okay.
But I always thought that my mom didn't make me call her aunt because she was white, but my mom said she didn't make her kids call me aunt, so I wasn't going to make you call her aunt. So it was
I
kind of,
get that.
and it wasn't like a beef thing, but I think it was like a different culture or whatever. So they was
hmm
like, nah, they ain't calling me aunt. You ain't gonna call her aunt. And that's how it is. You call her by her first name. But it's one- man, some things I learned about from my parents. Sometimes it's like dealing with money. Like, how do you deal?
Hmm.
It's like, did my mom, pay all the bills? Did my dad, was he the main earner or what have you? And I can't even really say that I learned a lot from them on that because they didn't really have me in their business. I learned about, their money relationship from other people, from other couples.
Hmm.
No, no, this is how you're supposed to do it, right? And those are the lessons that I learned.
Yeah, I do call my mother's sisters. I do call them by their first name. That's just how it was when we were growing up. And maybe it may have been because they were all young when I was born. I don't know. My mother's the oldest. So that could have been the reason why. Now I know on my father's side, because I called my mother's sisters by their first name. I remember calling my father's sister one time when I was little, and I was like, I said, "Hey," and I just called her by her first name. She was like, "Who? Who you trying to speak to?" And like she wouldn't really answer me until I said aunt, you know. So I was like, okay, I know.
But like my son got some of his little damn friends. They come in here and they try to be like, "What's up, Marvin?" I just look at them, and then eventually they'll be like, "Oh, Mr. Banks." Now you may be able to say Mr. Or something like that, right? But I ain't your fucking friend, dude. You know,
Right.
we ain't on the same level. We ain't getting down like that. Now they got a nickname for me. They call me Big Marv, right? And I let them get away with that because it's more playful. But nah, there's a dichotomy. There's a pecking order when it comes to this. And,
Right.
maintain that. I'll maintain. So listen, I got this question for you because it came up in the group.
Okay.
Loaning money. First of all, do you loan money to people?
It depends on how much. I don't usually go over $100. Um, yeah, if it's usually if it's that much, I'm like, I don't have it. But it depends on the person, on if I would or not, and it depends on the amount.
I am way too soft when it comes to that type of thing. And over the last couple of years, I have really been proactive in telling people. I put on this campaign on my Facebook page because it's like this is 26, 2024. These motherfuckers bled me dry. Like
Hmm.
expect I hope that it doesn't happen, but I expect my kids, even though they're young adults, to ask for a little bit of help every now and again. I don't mind that. I do mind, but that to me, that's tolerable. That's my job as their dad, right? But
Hmm.
24, man, I just had all kind of damn sob stories. And I kept wondering, I was like, why people think I just got money like that? And I travel a lot for work and, and I also travel personally. People's like, well, they see you always gone all the time. They think you got it. And I'm like, so I came up with the year of no. Don't ask me for anything. Don't ask at all. I ain't got it. And I learned because words are powerful. I don't have it to give. Because if you say I ain't got
Yeah.
it, it happen, right? Um, Couple people snuck through. They caught me when I was, feeling, oh, they had a little sob story, whatever. But there was a limit to it. There was a limit. And, for the most part, throughout that time, I wasn't in a relationship. So I could determine what I wanted to do or what I didn't want to do when it comes to my money. But I don't know. And I said, man, I need to get me a girlfriend. I need to get me a girlfriend who I can say, hey, let me ask her. You're right. And just throw her under the bus. She said I couldn't give you no money. Instead of me just manning up and saying, no, I'm putting it off with my girl. So I don't know, man. Do you think that's something you got to check in with your partner? Like, if you're, I know you haven't been married, right? But if you living with your partner, because you live with your partner, right? Before
Hmm.
when y'all were sharing finances, living together, was it required that they would talk to you about giving a family member money?
No. Especially not back then when I was doing it because he was taking care of the majority of the bills anyway. So no, but if I was married, um, for me, if it was over a certain amount, I would prefer to know than not know. And I think that should be a discussion. you know. So
Yeah.
like say somebody wants to borrow like $10, $15. I don't care about that. Whatever. But something that's going to impact our finances, or I mean maybe even if it wouldn't impact our finances, but a large amount, yeah, that I think something like that should be discussed.
What's the threshold? Like what's considered this petty money versus like we need to have a discussion about it.
Probably my $100 limit that I have for myself. Because I look at it as I mean I know this advice has gone on all over the place, but you know the usually people say, you know, when you give, don't expect to get it back. So you know,
Well, my shit back.
yeah, no, but I'm saying that, but you know the thing is, if you give somebody, only give if you like, if you can give it and not miss it, you know. So that's what I think. If it's over 100, I'm first of all, you like I said, usually my answer is no. But if it is somebody that I'm willing to give that type of money to, I do think that should be a discussion.
I read a book back in the day. It was called, I think, The King of Babylon, and it was like this book of like parables that applied to finances, right? And one of the things that they recommended was if somebody asks you for money, ask them to give you collateral. So like if they say, "Hey, Tay, I need $100. I need $100 till payday," right? And you'd be like, "Okay, that TV you got in your guest room, bring it over here." And you give me my $100 back, I give you the TV back. And what happens is people be like, "Oh man, you got to do all that." So number one, either they're not gonna get the money right because then they got pissed off, or number two,
Hmm.
they're gonna give you your money back, right? Because they want their TV back, or you got a TV. So that
Right.
that was a way that some people say of handling it. Um, I just feel like at this stage of my life, the answer is no. It's just no. It's no. I fell for a couple of sob stories, and I do think that if you're especially in a marriage, you do have to have a conversation. You have to have a conversation
Hmm.
about it. Because I've had different family members hit me up for bread, and because how we ran our household was that there was one account that paid all our bills. Whatever savings, whatever the money we was trying to invest, vacation, everything came out of this one. Both of our paychecks went into one checking account. Then from there, whatever was left, we split it evenly between the two. So it's like equal sacrifice, right? And it really like
Hmm.
eliminates a lot of the money problems that you have. Because like when we first got married, it was like, okay, well, I make this much and you make this much. So I'm gonna pay these bills right here, then you pay these bills, and you try to kind of level it out. But really, if it's just like, hey, if we all just put it all into one pot, pay what we got to pay, and then split it up, then it works. Now, if my money is coming out of my personal stash after we paid all our bills, I could give whoever I want money. But in that scenario, do you think I still would need to check in with you?
Depending on the amount, I still think a conversation should be had. I mean, even if you
That's,
decide to give it
that's not
anyway.
so though. That's impacting me personally.
Right, I get it. But still, because okay, look at it this way. The government doesn't see y'all as having separate. So like if y'all get a divorce, the government typically, unless y'all have like a prenup, is gonna say all of this money is together, even if you all have your separate accounts. So I don't know. I just, even like I said, even if you're gonna give it anyway, I still feel like a conversation is the considerate thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see
But
that.
you're talking to me, the person who wants to know everything anyway.
So TJ said yes, all major decisions should be discussed. So I guess there's a threshold for what she has. And Carmen says, depending on how they allocate money, if they do the joint, all money is going in one account and they pay bills out of that account, then yes. If they go the percentage to pay bills in one pot and then everybody has their own extra, then no, because he can't just pay out of his funds. Okay. Okay. And then L said all money should be discussed. In my personal and professional life, I've observed damage to otherwise healthy relationships because a spouse was constantly giving money to family members and or putting things in their names as if the family members were their dependents. Whether the couple manages their finances from a joint or individual, damn, Elle had a long one. Whether the couple manages their finances from a joint or individual account, money is being siphoned from the household to people who, if they were in a bind, could not reciprocate. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's always why I think it should be discussed. Only because my question, if somebody needs to borrow a significant amount of money and they're saying, I'm going to pay you back. But my thing is, what happens, like say they want it for a bill. Okay, well, what happens next month? This bill is still going to come up. What's your plan on taking care of next month and paying me back? So, I don't know. I feel like that's one of the reasons why money should be discussed.
Yeah, I mean, and so what if you found out? I'm gonna flip it, right? What if you found out that your dude was getting money, say from his favorite girl cousin or from his mom? He was borrowing from them, right? Y'all got your household, but he's borrowing money and you don't know about it. Would you feel some sort of way about that?
Yeah.
Why?
Cause because why are you going outside of the house to borrow money? I mean, if we're a couple and I don't know that you need to borrow money, or I mean, I yeah, that's that wouldn't fly for me.
So, feel you on that. Because on the flip side, if my gal was asking like her uncle or somebody for some bread, I'm gonna look at it in a different way because I'm like, well, why are you asking him for money? Because that makes me look like a chump, right?
Hmm.
Like, okay, well, damn, you asking me for money, what's your husband doing?
Yeah. I know my father would have asked that. Well, what's going on in your marriage that you can't ask him for money? Yeah.
No, but I'm gonna tell you though, I actually had that situation happen in both ways. And I
Okay.
did think that. I did think like, does your husband know that you asking me for this money? Right? And in some situations, the husband was sorry. And in the other situation, she had overdid it, right? And she didn't want him to know that she had overdid it. So
Hmm.
he's reaching out to me to kind of fix the situation. And I felt conflicted about it because number one, I didn't want to give her no money because I don't like loaning or giving money to people because I still ain't got paid back. But on the other hand, this is a really close friend of mine, that I love a lot.
Hmm.
And me and her husband's cool. He has no reason to be threatened by me. I've never been in any situation like that with his wife or anything. Not at all. But if she's asking me for money, then those questions start coming up. Well, why are you asking him for money? And why is he giving you money if nothing's
Hmm.
going on between y'all? So whereas for years there hasn't been any type of suspicion or anything like that, that question may come across even though it ain't nothing like that. And it might be a situation where he's like, well, dude, you've been married before. Would you want your woman asking another dude for money? And my answer would have to be, no, I wouldn't. So I'm
Right.
really conflicted about it because like, damn, I really shouldn't even be involved in this.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
I really shouldn't even be involved in this.
Yeah.
And I
So
and I,
fun.
and I probably should have just said, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be involved in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Little sister to me, and I was like, she, oh well, and then yeah, I'm gonna pay you
Yeah.
back. I still ain't got paid back.
See? Yeah, finances between a couple is typically it ranks high in, having relationships fall apart. So inserting yourself into that just adds another layer on top of it.
Yeah, and that's why I go with the hey, listen, just put it all in one pot and then split it up because that really eliminates a lot of those problems. Max says, hell yes, or give up half of the assets during the divorce proceedings. I'm like, damn, people really are quick to throw out the divorce word. You know that?
Yeah. There.
definitely with that whole situation, and I think I know your answer. We'll come back to the finance thing where the guy said, I've been with my wife for 10 years. We've been happy. I cheated one time and she cut me off and she's done with the marriage. She threw away our whole marriage because I cheated once. And most people were like, hey, that's the risk you took by cheating. But me personally, I think like, damn, that's awful kind of harsh, man. I think just people just throw relationships away like too willy-nilly. What you think?
It depends on what the willy-nilly is. I mean,
I know you because you
I,
don't forgive cheating. I think you said that before, right? Like you're not
well,
cheating.
having sex outside of a relationship, I can forgive. It's the lying that's usually done on top of it that I cannot forgive. Because I told you the lying usually brings more questions to me. Well, what else would you be lying about? But I mean, you can't do something to someone and then tell them how to react.
I hear you on that, but sometimes the reaction is disproportionate. And
Sometimes.
I feel like if we've had a good relationship, so from what he says, for 10 years, and there was one violation, to throw it all away for like, hey, I just kind of messed up one time, I think that's harsh. I think that's too harsh. Because I got a question. Did you ever really fucking love me?
Uh, I don't think that's
I can cheat
fair.
on you and still love you. You know what I'm saying?
And people,
You can't love me and just tell me
yeah,
you don't want to be married to me no more.
that's true. And people have ended relationships and still been in love. So I don't think love comes into play. But if your boundaries are disrespected, you have a right to react how you feel is necessary. There are also those times where people forgive cheating and the other person takes that as license for them to go ahead and keep on cheating. So which one you want to do? You want to take the risk of them doing it more, or you want to cut it off at the knees?
Damn, she said cut it off at the knees.
I mean, you know what I mean.
I guess, man. I guess. I think I'd be pissed off about being cheated on. I'd probably be more upset about you messing up the money though. I
Yeah, yeah, because money can change like the future. I mean, cheating can change the future too, but money can impact when you mess up people's finances, that can impact people for years to come, and sometimes in ways that they don't even think about until like credit comes up, or that can affect you for years and years to come. So I can see that.
instead of you thinking you're gonna retire at 63 or 65, now you got to work till you like in your 70s
Yeah, exactly.
with the money. And
Say that again.
somebody been willy-nilly with the money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. So no, I think you definitely need to have that communication. I think it's probably best if you take the stance that, hey, listen, we don't have the money to give. Like our money is for
Mhm.
us. And you really got to kind of be cold-hearted to some people, man, because they'll users don't have any boundaries. They will use
True.
they're like, fucking Venom. They'll use the host. They'll use the host body until it's done, and then on to the next host body. And like I don't know if that was a good nerdy explanation, but you right.
I got it.
But you really have to like set boundaries, man, because folks will just take you and they won't have no shame about it. Sometimes they even get mad at you when you ever had somebody when you loan them money, they get mad at you for asking for your shit back.
I typically don't ask for it back because I typically feel like if I'm gonna give it, it's something I don't need. But I learn well from other people's mistakes. So I have seen it happen to other people, which is why my limit is $100 because I have seen other people have to go through crap to get what's owed to them back. I've seen it. So yeah,
Because like
I've seen it.
Hey, listen, and then you hear the little rumors like, "Oh, it's all about the money for you." Well, it was all about the money when you needed it, right?
True, true, true.
So, and I just think that at this age, we really got to start. That's like on the list of questions you got to ask folks, like, how do you handle money? How did you
Hmm.
handle money? Because, when you get into your, late 40s and 50s, like us, hey, um, every financial decision you make matters, especially if you haven't made the best decisions up until this time. So now, we're at an age right now that it still can be salvaged. You can
Hmm.
fix it. We still got some strong working years ahead of us to where we can, make sure that we have stuff put into place. But there's really no room for error. And you really can't afford to have somebody in your circle, especially not your partner, that's going to be a distraction to that.
That's true. I agree. And like I said, you never know when a financial situation or issue from the past will come up in your future. Unless you plan for it. And part of planning for it is having to tell people no, even when you want to say yes.
Yeah. And so let me ask you this. And this off script, I know you're not, but you can handle this. I was talking to my homegirl, and she said marriage doesn't benefit women. And I pushed back on it, and I said, "Well, why you say that?" Like, because from my perspective, marriage doesn't really benefit men. And from her perspective, she was saying, okay, like, us having to take care of you all, the emotional toll. I can't remember everything else that she said. But for me, I was like, a lot of guys look at it as, okay, this is another bill that I have to spend resources on, right? I'm now having to spend more money on you, taking you out, doing these different things, date nights, all of this stuff. Whereas when I'm rolling solo dolo, I'm just gonna worry about myself. I can go to dinner, I can spend 20, $25 just on me. Now, if I go out with you, now the bill's $80, right? So ultimately we came to the decision that marriage benefits people who really want to be married and work as a team. But do you
Mhm.
you feel like marriage does not benefit women?
I have heard the conversation leaning towards it doesn't. I think it depends on the people and what they get out of it. But to your question about the money, are you marrying a housewife? I mean,
No,
because if not, then the
no, no.
money, again, going back to finances, all that money is in one pot. You can't say now I'm spending more money.
Well, okay, let me explain, right? Because you've been out with me before. You know the type of man I am. Me and you are strictly friends. But when we've ever hung out with just us, did you have to pay for anything?
But that we were talking about in a marriage though. We're not talking about friendship.
No, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. And
Okay.
I'm trying to put you on Front Street. But what I'm saying is, I'm the type of man that any woman that's around me, I'm not letting her pay for anything when I'm there, right? So if we're in a marriage or a relationship, yes, we may split the bills and stuff, but if we're going out, if we're doing stuff, I'm not letting my woman pay for anything. I'm paying for it.
But again, when you're married, the government doesn't see your money as split. Even if y'all have separate accounts, if y'all get divorced, the government is going to look at all of that as one. So again, even if you're married and you are physically using your money, it's still a combined pot. Even if it's coming out of your account, it's still technically a combined pot. Because okay, even in your situation, you said you and your ex-wife, y'all put all the money together and then split the rest. You don't know what part of that split came from her money and what part came from yours. You just using what was left over.
And you're not wrong. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is when the extras come around, I'm taking care of that because I'm the man. That's what I mean by that. So yes,
I hear what you're saying, but that's not my point.
well, where we not
Because the even the extra came from that one pot. So it's all of that money together. It's still combined. It's still a combined fund. You took that money, put it in one pot, and split it. That's still that's still her money mixed in with that.
Okay, so say we pay our bills, and then afterwards we got $300 each. So unless we have said, hey, from that pot, we're going to designate this for date night. When we go out to date night, that comes from my $300. You still got yours
Not,
$300 to play with. So that's where the sacrifice comes in. That's what I mean by that.
I get what you're saying. You're not getting what I'm saying, but it's okay. We can move on.
Now, you saying it all comes from the same pot. You don't know if it's hers or
Yeah,
yours, right? But
yeah.
once that money is divided, then it's mine.
Again, again, I'm gonna let you have that because you're not seeing my point. But again, I'm gonna let you have that.
I feel
I
like
said
I'm seeing
that.
your
I'm
point.
gonna let you have it. So let's move on.
I
We
feel like
don't agree. Let's move on.
I feel like I'm seeing your
Say
point.
that again.
I feel like I'm seeing your point. I feel like I'm seeing your point
Okay. And we don't agree. So what's the point in keeping the circle going around?
because I want you to finally say I'm right.
But you're not. I don't agree. So I'm not. This is one
And
of the reasons I
listen,
broke up with my
and
college
listen,
boyfriend. We do not have to agree on every single thing, especially if it's a matter of opinion and not fact. So no, I do not have to agree with you. And we're still cool. We can still be cool without having to agree.
and I'm joking because there's plenty of times where you have agreed with me, right? And I just think it's just a different in perspective. But I'm just saying for a lot of guys, that's how they look at it. And we're taking it all the way to marriage. But that step in between when you're in a relationship and you're dating, right? Then it's different because y'all haven't commingled your funds. You are courting that young woman, right? So it is an investment. Now, both people are, you invest in your feelings, your emotions, all of that, right? But the guys like me, how we get down, I'm not letting my woman dig into her pocket to pay for anything while we're dating.
I agree with you on that point, but the original
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. So what I'm saying is, we were talking about marriage benefit. You're right. But it's still to get there, it's an investment that a lot of guys say don't benefit them.
I mean, it depends. I mean, a lot of women say, they don't want to turn and have to turn into nurses when they get older.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
So,
they are absolutely right. Because dudes won't say it, but they absolutely like, well, man, shit, I need to get somebody to take care of me. And they'll settle down with somebody that they may or may not really want to be with. But she's good to me. She's nice to me. She cares because ain't nothing worse if you fucked up in the game and you got a woman that's mean to you and don't really care about you, you know, and your kids ain't gonna take care of you or whatever. So you better try to find somebody that's gonna deal with you. Cause like shit, you got to sit there and have somebody to wipe your ass and they can't they can't stand you. You're gonna be sitting there in the cut for a minute, right? So yeah, I get it. I get it
yeah,
100%.
you actually got me off the question with the money part. But do I feel that marriage benefits one more than the other? I think it depends on the people and how you're interacting with the marriage. Are you both putting 100% into this situation, or is one person putting more? If the one person is putting in more than the other, then yeah, I could see it not being beneficial to somebody. Like a rich man, if he marries a woman who's not financially on his level, yeah, he's not going to benefit much, especially with if he's rich, he can hire somebody to be a maid. He can hire somebody to be the cook. What is she actually contributing? Outside of feelings. But if you're having two people who are contributing equally and they want to please their spouse, both partners want to please their spouse. I don't necessarily see it as one benefiting one more than the other.
You're right. And I think the other piece that people miss, people that have not been married miss, is that sometimes it ain't 50-50. Sometimes you have to be the one that's carrying 70-30 because your partner just isn't in a good space. They may be on a job that they hate. They may be dealing with an illness. They may be dealing with family issues or whatever. Anything could be going on, right? And it may be times when
Hmm.
you have to carry more of the load to keep that relationship going. Um, so that's something that you learn like, damn, you'd like it for it to be 50-50 the whole time, but sometimes that's just not reality. And you hope that the person who has to carry the heavier load doesn't become resentful and be like, fuck, I might as well be by myself. And you have to hope that the person that's being carried doesn't take it for granted.
I agree.
So, I mean, I think that's sometimes people say, well, listen, 50, all the whole 50-50 conversation and all that old shit. Like, listen, man, like, are we a team or are we not? Sometimes you may,
Yeah.
sometimes you may have to get 50 and I just got to be on the board getting rebounds, or sometimes I may have to be the one that's hitting the shots and making the free throws. But as long as we win the game, that's what matters.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, yeah, I did, and that's kind of why I hesitated when I said if both are given 100%, because that did pop into my mind that sometimes one will have to carry more than the other. But yeah, I really think it depends on the people. I mean, and actually, a lot of the people that I see saying that men don't benefit from marriage are usually the red pill community. I hate to say it, but
That's true.
it usually coincides with that train of thought.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is the red pill community because it's now listen, I'm a capitalist and I want my money, and money is important. Even,
Hmm.
even though I fucked off a lot of money in my life that I didn't have. But it's way more important how that woman makes you feel. How does she that rich man that you talked about, who could hire a maid, who could probably pay a woman for good sex and all that old shit. It matters to him how down that woman is for him, how loyal she is, and how she makes him feel as a man. That's what matters. And a lot of that red pill community, they don't see that because they don't really see women as equals.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
see objects or somebody that's to be controlled or to used or whatever. So there's, that their lens and how they look at women in relationships, nobody should be taken seriously at all.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Not at all. Because you got to listen to the right people. Like, for instance, I saw on social media where this girl called her dad because she had a tire blowout and she was with her boyfriend. And she called her dad, and her first thing her dad said was, the first thing you need to do is drop that dude if he can't change a tire. And there are a lot of people that said dad was right, and some people said dad was being too harsh. What do you think?
Um, I tend to compare men to the men that's been in my life. And I know for sure that my maternal grandfather, that definitely would have been his his train of thought. Not necessarily that the guy couldn't change the tire, but that he didn't even take care of it. I would have had to call either my father or him to tell me how to do it. Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. I have three daughters, and I learned from a situation. My daughter was with this guy who was a straight up loser. He was a loser. And, she'll say it now that he was a loser. She just didn't see it. We all saw it, but she didn't see it. And, with girls, you can't say too much or you'll push them closer to the little loser, right? But
Yeah.
she called me and she was like, my tire's flat and we can't change it. And I said, what do you mean we? And she said his name. And I was like, what? So you mean I got to come get you? So I'm rolling over there. I'm hot, right? I'm like, she with this little funky ass dude. He can't even change the tire. And I get there, so I got my tools and I'm ready to go. And I find out why they couldn't change the tire. The lug nuts, that you had to have one of those jackhammers to get it off. There was no way that you could power it off. So
Okay.
I was over there and I was angry at him, like she with this little suck ass dude or whatever. Then I get there and I couldn't even change the tire. Not because I didn't know how to change the tire, but because it just nobody was physically able. So we had to call somebody to come out to have, the hydraulic jack to be able to get it off. So I
Hmm.
think that we got to give these young men a little bit of grace. Yeah, it's disappointing that your daughter or young family member is with somebody who can't do quote unquote manly roles, can't, do that stuff. But sometimes, man, they didn't have it. They didn't have a dad that made them do those type of things. I made my son do it. I made my daughters change tires. Sit there and
Hmm.
all right, take it back off so he can do it now. Take it back off so she can do it. Because I didn't really want them having to depend on anybody to help them, right? But not everybody has that type of guidance in this world. Now, it could be a bigger sign that, okay, if he ain't had no male figure to teach him how to change a tire, what else did they not teach him about being a man? That could be a sign that you may have to worry about some other stuff, but I don't think it's fair to just throw somebody away because they can't do one particular thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily throw the person away. I would take into consideration their age and, like you said, family history. Who was around this person to teach them or whatever. Like if they're young, I can excuse it and say, okay, maybe we need to teach both of y'all how to do this or whatever. But I wouldn't necessarily say get rid of the person. But again, I go back to, okay, you don't know how to change it, but can you should be able to call somebody and say,
Look,
you know,
I'll be honest with you, Tay. I know how to change a tire. I live in Texas. It's hot as fuck. I'm not about to change no tire. I pay
yeah,
on-site assistance. We're gonna get somewhere where we're safe. We're gonna call them out. They're gonna change that tire. Then we're gonna be on our way. Now I've heard women say that they judge men for that. But listen, I'm not finna be out here sweating. I ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. And if that's a
yeah,
problem, then guess what? I'll find me another chick that don't mind that I pay for roadside assistance and that I can get us back up and going safely.
yeah. I know how to change a tire too, but I have not changed a tire since I was in my mid 20s, I think. And yeah, and I'm not about to get out there and change it. Change it. That's what roadside assistance is for.
That's what it's for.
So yeah,
That's what it's for. So I'm like, yeah, girl, if you judging me about that, then just like, hey, listen, I heard women say, hey, if my man can't do the yard work, if he can't mow the yard and do all this old shit, then I don't really want him. Guess what? I live in Texas. It could get up to 120, 106 degrees. Guess what I'm not doing? I'm not doing no yard work. So that's going to be in the budget. I'm hiring Fernando to come and get my shit right. Now I don't have a house anymore, right? But listen, if you got a problem with that, that's on you. Because I'm not going to be out there having a heat stroke. I'm not doing it.
yeah, I get it. My grandfather was the type. He didn't want anybody touching his yard but him. He didn't want anybody touching our cars but him. But well, when I got my car, I was with somebody. But my grandfather loved him because he knew how to he knew how to do all that stuff. So
But it's funny though, because me and my best friend were talking about this. I consider myself to be a man's man, but I'm not built like my dad and your granddad was. They were different type of men. They came up in different times. I ain't no punk, but they different. They just different. They can break apart a transmission, put it back together, and do all that old shit, right? They can do all those different things. I could do it if I wanted to, but my mom always told me, hey, you better make sure you get an education and a good job because you ain't good with your hands. So you're gonna definitely have to pay somebody to do this stuff for you, right? And if I'm gonna be with a woman, she's gonna have to appreciate what I can bring to the table.
yeah. Oh, trust my father. My father knew how to do all that stuff because of the father and the uncles that he had. But my father got bougie and he was definitely not about to be out there doing it himself. He was definitely gonna call somebody.
Look, man, time is money. Time is money. I remember
Yeah.
when I lived in Nebraska. Have you ever heard of thunder snow?
No.
Okay. So you've seen a thunderstorm, right? Where there's lightning
Right.
thunder, and all that. there's a phenomenon that happens in these cold states like Nebraska, North Dakota, and all that, and it's called thunder snow. So it's like a thunderstorm, but instead of rain, it's snow. Craziest thing you'll ever see. You'll hear the thunder, you'll see the lightning, and when it does that, it snows like a motherfucker, for real. I thought they were lying. I was with these white boys from work, and they was like, "Man, wait till a thunder snows." I was like, thunder snow. I'm laughing, I'm making fun of them. The news came on probably like a couple months later. They said we got thunder snow, probability of thunder snow tonight. And man, it was so much snow. I was trying to shovel my driveway. And to find one of my boys said, "Hey man, you know how most motherfuckers have heart attacks, right? They're out there trying to shovel snow. You better pay somebody that can come with a plow and get that stuff up off of there." So man, at this age, no, I don't have no shame about that.
Yeah, yeah, and you shouldn't. It's not necessary, especially when people get paid to do that type of stuff. So
And on the flip side, you wouldn't want my mama or my aunties and them judging you if you can't fry chicken right or you can't make a pumpkin pie the way I like it or something. You would they would if they were to come and say you need to get rid of that girl because she can't cook, she can't do this, and I come over your house and she can't keep a clean house, because she don't clean to their standards or whatever. It wouldn't be fair for the women in my family to tell me to throw you away because you don't do stuff to their level. So we shouldn't do the same thing to these boys.
right, but that happens the other way too. I remember I was dating one of my exes. He was telling me that when his brother got married, first of all, his mother didn't like the woman at all. But she bought the woman a cookbook because she couldn't cook. Like her thing was like, how you gonna take care of my son and you can't even cook? So there are women who do that in, the opposite way, just like men. So
Uh,
it happens.
I've said it to her face, so it's not like I'm, throwing her on Front Street. But my ex-wife wasn't the best cook.
Okay.
I remember complaining about that to my mom while mom was still alive. You know what my mom told me? She said, "If you love that girl, you better learn to love how she cooks." And I dealt with it.
Yeah.
Love her, you better learn to love how she cooks. Or, or do like your dad and you be the one that cooks. If she can't cook, then you
Yeah.
cook. And if you can't, if you ain't willing to do that, then shut the hell up.
True. True.
But see,
Yeah. See, I have.
my mama wasn't playing those games. She wasn't trying to come between me and my brothers and the women that we were in relationships. Like there were some times where she was like, "I don't think that's the right girl for you," but she wasn't that type of mom to be overbearing and try to, like, well, if I get in the car, I'm right in the front seat. My mom was the one that was like, "I get in the back seat." She wasn't because she wanted her sons to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither one of my parents were the type to interfere in my relationships. Like you said, your how you treated your daughter's boyfriends, how you would want somebody to treat your son. My father was never the type to disrespect the guy that I brought. I could always tell if he liked the guy or if he didn't, but he was never disrespectful. But I actually didn't hear this story until until after he passed about how one of my exes came past the house looking for me and we weren't together at the time, and heard how my father had words with him, and it took me by surprise because again, my father has never been like that. But I guess he never had to because I was always sensible with the guys that I brought around. So
All right, so I got a would you or wouldn't you before we wrap up the show.
okay,
Okay. Now you dating somebody, and everybody in your family loves this person. I'm talking about grandma, aunties, yo, dude, cousins. Everybody loves this person, right? But you ain't feeling it no more. Would you or would you stay because of how he gets along with the family?
I've been in that situation. My ex fiance had my family except for my mother, but he had everybody else wrapped around his finger. everybody else. My aunt had him in the family, but we didn't have group chats back then. We had emails. My aunt had him in the family email group. I mean, my cousins would come up for the summer and want to spend time with him. Like, I mean, he had my family, and told you my grandfather loved him because he knew how to fix stuff, and he had my family wrapped around his finger for years after we broke up. My grandmother would ask me, "So this y'all not getting back together? There's nothing that can be done," until finally I had to be like, he cheated. And then my grandmother was still like, you can't work it out? No. But it is what it is. So yeah, I've been there. So it ain't matter. It doesn't matter to me what other people have to say. If I'm not feeling it, it's not gonna happen.
Damn. So you the we've been together for 10 years and we a happy family. You cheated one time and it's over. You never really loved him.
That's a daggone lie.
You never really loved him. Listen, hell no, she got to go. And y'all need to lose her number because y'all are my family, right? So I get it. I get it. She may be fun to hang with and she's the life of the party or whatever, but that chapter is over, especially when I'm with somebody new. And that's the big thing. I've seen that a lot where somebody breaks up with somebody and they like
Mm,
the ex-girlfriend and they don't like the new girlfriend. And sometimes you have to like really like put your family in check, like, hey, you're not gonna disrespect my current situation. That's done. That's done.
yeah.
And nah. I remember one time my homeboy was talking to one of my exes, and I was like, "What the fuck you doing? That's a wrap. She ain't family no more." And he was like, I understand, but if I act funny towards her, then that makes it seem like you were still caught up in your feelings behind it. So I have to act this way to make it, because I don't want her thinking that you're not okay. And
Yeah, I get that.
I
I
said,
get that in a way,
you made,
but
you made a good point, but still, I'm just like, nah, it's a wrap, dog. Like, it's over. And
yeah.
especially if it don't end right. Like sometimes, like if it ends like, hey, it just didn't really work out. I can see y'all being cool, but I've seen situations where, you know, people break up and they still hang out with the cousins. I knew a chick, she would still hang out with her ex-cousins and they be out trying to get on other dudes and shit together. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know about that, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like if a dude was dating my cousin was like my sister and they broke up and me and him was cool. I could see me still wanting to hang with him and do hood rat shit, but I just couldn't do that to my cousin. I'd have to kind of just. We can still be cool, ain't no beef, but we can't be out trying to get on hoes together and shit. Nah, like we can't do that, bro.
So my aunt and my cousin's father, they broke up when I want to say we were in high school, maybe junior high. So that's how long ago it's been. My aunt still hangs around his family like she's family. They still call her Aunt Cindy. Oh, I said her. They still call her, you refer to her as aunt. You know what I'm saying? She was just over there. What was the last holiday? Mother's Day. His family had a big thing for Mother's Day. She was over there. His family. I mean, she came with our family later, but yeah, my aunt, they still consider her their family.
I seen a situation and where husband and wife had a holiday get together and wife's ex-boyfriend was at the house with his new thing. Now they've been separated for years, like years, and there's definitely no funny business going on, right? But it's still kind of odd that here I am. I used to date her, and I brought who I'm dating now to come hang out with her husband, and all of their family. And I guess
Yeah,
people, people can become friends, right? They can become friends, but to me, I always kind of like that's a little it's a little odd, but it don't matter if y'all family, right?
Yeah, that's how people look at it. Matter of fact, I've been in that situation. I was dating a guy, and we were serious. One of my exes, we were serious. And when we would go to his homes where he was from, we stayed the night with his ex and her husband and their family. But then I looked at the situation. Her parents were still friends, and her father had remarried. So that they the type of people that think once family, always family.
I gotta ask though,
Mm-hmm.
because the CVAD, if
Oh Lord.
they knew each other, were they cool with it because they was cool with it, or because they was
No, this was before all of that. So no, it was nothing. Nothing happened. No, this was before I was into all of that.
okay? Okay, I gotta ask. You know what I'm saying? I gotta ask. So
No, you don't, because it's funny once you into that lifestyle, and people think everything in your life is about that lifestyle. And no, I can separate things. So no,
yeah,
this is before that.
I was being funny, but I also want to know. Um, but you know what I find interesting is that there are certain people who are in the lifestyle. Um, certain people that do, they may venture out into like certain things, like having threesomes or orgies, whatever, right? But some of those people may be still be vanilla. I think it's still possible for you to be in that lifestyle and still be vanilla. Because like there's people
Oh
like,
yeah,
I've never done that. I haven't done anal. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. And you think like, oh, well, if you out here at the swingers club, there's no holds barred. You doing any and everything. And that's a big misconception that I think a lot of people just don't really understand.
yeah, that is a big misconception.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe we can get somebody from the lifestyle back on there so me and you ain't got to tell our business. And we can kind of talk about that. But anyway, tell people they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us at cvadthepodcast at gmail.com. Make sure you like this video, share it, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
That's right. And make sure you go to our website, www.conversateafterdark.com. Check out the past episodes. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.